Japan has a habit of turning a whole country's worth of choice into neat groups of 3. Not one perfect place, and not a top 10 list that feels like homework. 3. 3 views, 3 gardens, 3 waterfalls, 3 hot springs, 3 Buddhas. And once you notice this pattern, you start seeing it everywhere. It shows up in old scenic rankings, temple culture, garden design, cherry blossom trips, onsen towns, and even modern night view tourism. For travellers, that matters because Japan can be overwhelming. There are too many places worth seeing and not enough days to see them. These groups of 3 give you a way to make sense of that abundance. They don't always tell you what is objectively best, they show what Japan has chosen to remember, repeat, argue over and pass down. And the clearest place to start is with Japan's 3 great views. They are Matsushima in Miyagi, Amanohashidate in Kyoto Prefecture, and Miyajima in Hiroshima. This trio is usually linked to the scholar Hayashi Gaho in the 17th century, which means these places were admired long before modern travel campaigns, camera phones or Instagram. Matsushima is a bay scattered with pine-covered islands. The beauty there is not one big object in front of you, it's the way the islands sit in the water, the way the pines break the horizon, and the way the whole bay feels composed rather than accidental. Amanohashidate is different. It's a long, pine-covered sandbar across Miyazu Bay. From the viewpoints above, it looks like a narrow bridge between sea and sky. There's even an old custom of bending forward and looking at it upside down between your legs, which makes the sandbar appear to rise into the air. Then there's Miyajima, with the great torii gate of Itsukushima Shrine standing in the water at high tide. The gate is the famous image, but the power of the place comes from more than that. It's the shrine, the island, the tide, Mount Maisen behind it, and the sense that nature and belief are not separate. I remember the first time I saw that gate with the tide in. It was not dramatic in the way travel brochures often try to make places dramatic. It was a bit quieter than that. People stopped speaking for a moment, took their photos and then just looked. That is when you understand why some views last for centuries. From there, the pattern becomes more refined with Japan's 3 great gardens. The usual trio is Kenrokuen in Kanazawa, Kōraku-en in Okayama, and Kairaku-en in Mito. These are old established names and they show how landscape design became a form of cultural status. Kenrokuen is the most famous of the 3. Its name refers to 6 qualities associated with an ideal garden, including spaciousness, seclusion, water and views. That may sound formal, but the experience is very simple. You walk, the scene changes, and each turn gives you a view that feels deliberately held in place. Kōraku-en in Okayama has a broader, more open feeling. It was developed for the Ikeda family, and one of its pleasures is the way Okayama Castle becomes part of the scenery. The garden is not closed off from its setting. It borrows the castle and uses it as part of the composition. Kairaku-en in Mito is especially known for plum blossoms. Thousands of plum trees grow there with many different varieties, so the season does not arrive as one flat burst of colour. It comes in stages. That makes the garden feel less like a preserved object and more like something that changes with the year. With the views and gardens, the rule of 3 feels old and settled. These are canonical lists. They've had time to harden in tradition, but then the rule starts to bend. Japan's great Buddhas are where the pattern becomes less tidy. The 2 names almost everyone agrees on are the Great Buddha of Nara and the Great Buddha of Kamakura. At Toraiji in Nara, the Great Buddha was consecrated in 752. The seated statue is nearly 15 metres tall, and it belongs to the period when Nara was the centre of political and religious power in Japan. You do not just see a large bronze statue, you see a statement about Buddhism, authority, and the scale of ambition in 8th century Japan. The Kamakura Daibutsu has a different presence. It sits outside at Kotoku-in Temple, exposed to the weather and sky. The statue itself is just over 11 metres tall, or just over 13 metres including its platform. It feels less imperial than Nara, but more direct. There's no vast hall shaping your first impression. The figure is simply there, calm and immovable in the open air. The 3rd Buddha is the interesting part because it's disputed. Takaoka Daibutsu in Toyama is often named as the 3rd, especially in older cultural groupings. Others point to different large Buddha statues, including modern examples such as Ushiku Daibutsu in Ibaraki, which is far taller but belongs to a very different age. That disagreement matters. It shows that these trios are not always fixed by one official vote. Sometimes they're tradition, sometimes local pride, sometimes they're arguments that keep a place in the conversation. Nature brings the structure back to something more settled. Japan's three famous waterfalls are usually Nachi Falls in Wakayama, Kegon Falls in Tochigi, and Fukuroda Falls in Ibaraki. Nachi Falls drops 133 metres in a single stream and is closely connected with the sacred Kumano region. The classic view, with the waterfall behind the Red Pagoda, is one of the most recognisable scenes in Japan. Kegon Falls, near Nikko, drops 97 metres from Lake Chuzenji into a rocky basin. In autumn, the surrounding colours make it especially striking, and in winter, ice can form around the falls, which gives the same place a much harder, colder beauty. Fukuroda Falls is about 120 metres high and falls in broad layers. It does not have the single vertical force of Nachi, but its width and tiered shape give it a different kind of impact. Now we move on to springtime. The three great cherry blossom spots are usually Hirosaki Park in Aomori, Mount Yoshino in Nara, and Takato Castle Ruins Park in Nagano. Hirosaki is a castle setting with around 2,600 cherry trees and a later bloom than many places in central Japan. That makes it really useful if you missed the earlier season in Tokyo, Kyoto or Osaka. Mount Yoshino is different again. Around 30,000 cherry trees grow across the mountain, and because the trees sit at different elevations, the blossoms do not all peak at once, and the season moves up the slopes. Takato Castle Ruins Park is known for Takato Kohigan cherry trees, with smaller, deeper, pinker blossoms. The result is not the pale, delicate look that many people imagine when they think of sakura. It has a stronger colour, and the setting against the mountains makes it feel very local. By this point, the number 3 is doing lots of work. It's helping Japan compare places without making them identical, and the same is true with hot springs. Arima Onsen in Hyogo, Kusatsu Onsen in Gunma, and Gero Onsen in Gifu are often named as Japan's 3 famous hot springs. Arima is compact, historic and close to Kobe. It's also known for 2 main types of water, often called gold water and silver water. Kusatsu is stronger and more theatrical. Its hot spring water is famous for its acidity, and the town is known for yumomi, a traditional method of cooling very hot water with large wooden paddles. Gero is gentler. Its alkaline water is known for a smooth feeling on the skin, and the town sits in a mountain valley along the Hida River. So the trio is not saying these 3 towns are the same, it's giving you 3 different versions of onsen culture: historic, powerful and soft. Then the old structure becomes more modern. Japan's new 3 most spectacular night views are not ancient tradition. They are selected through a modern system connected to night view tourism, and the ranking is renewed every few years. Right now, the chosen cities are Kitakyushu, Yokohama and Nagasaki. Kitakyushu brings industrial light, coastline and mountain viewpoints. Yokohama gives you the polished harbour skyline of Minato Mirai, while Nagasaki has the natural shape of the harbour with city lights curving around the bay below Mount Inasa. These are not sacred landscapes or feudal gardens, they're modern urban views, but the logic is familiar. 3 places, 3 identities, 1 way to make the choice easier. And once you see that, you can build your own trio. For example, in the Kiso Valley, Tsumago, Magome and Nara give you 3 ways to understand old post towns on the Nakasendo route. Tsumago is the preserved time capsule with its main street kept free of modern traffic during the day. Magome is the hillside town, with stone paving, wooden buildings and the walking trail towards Tsumago. Nara is the long one, stretching for more than 1 kilometre along the old road with traditional buildings, inns and craft shops. This may not carry the same formal status as the 3 great views or the 3 great gardens, but for a traveller it can be just as useful. It turns an area into a small journey with contrast, movement and memory. And that's the real value of Japan's number 3 habit. It's not about reducing the country to a checklist, it's about giving shape to abundance. Japan has too many temples, gardens, mountains, hot springs, old towns and scenic views for one trip. A trio makes the choice human-sized. It gives you enough variety to compare, but not so much that the plan becomes exhausting. The number 3 gives Japan a way to remember what matters. For For travellers, it gives you a way to plan with more meaning and less noise. If you enjoyed this, subscribe for more Japan travel ideas that go beyond the usual first-time itinerary. And let me know in the comments which trio you would choose first. The views, the gardens, the Buddhas, the waterfalls, the cherry blossoms, the hot springs, or your own.